This is Randy Rodney. He is the CEO of Your Team Pros, and let me tell you, we are in this beautiful space.
Look at this.
And we're gonna have a dope conversation today. We're talking about his dream of opening up a space. We have some hot takes, bro. There's some different things.
Man, he had some crazy takes.
The one about his wife?
I could not believe this man said that live. Like, that took a lot of guts to say that.
With his wife
With his wife
there.
There. And she's just there smiling. So that was unique to see.
And then she actually responds to it. You know what I'm saying? So definitely worth it. And then we're gonna talk to Chiriga Derrick. And she reveals her design process when it comes to making this space look as beautiful as it is. So most definitely one of the best pods we've shot. I highly suggest listening to the full episode.
Absolutely.
And just to each person's conversation, because there's gems within each person. So it's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, they definitely brought the heat, every single one of them. It's very unique to have everybody actually come with so much gems back to back to back.
Word.
Like, we were here just like absorbing all the information, definitely made our jobs easier as hosts just to hear everything that they had to say, and they're all unique stories. So you're definitely gonna be in for a treat with this episode. And yeah, let's get into it.
Where my leg is Brooke.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? The brand has leg.
Has one leg.
You know what I'm saying? So listen to the whole thing. Always gonna do the tour.
Yeah.
Let's jump in.
Let's get into it, man.
Hello and welcome to Us Over Everything podcast. This is the podcast where we receive stories, tips, and tactics from entrepreneurs who have done it. I'm Alex.
And I'm Oino Sinde.
And today we're in Oshawa at 50 Richmond Street East to talk about real estate and having an exclusive look into this real estate space. So I'm excited to share that with you. But before we get into that, as you can see, I have a little leg issue right now.
You're out for the season, man.
The brand has leg.
It's no legs.
You know what I'm saying?
Only
So
one quad.
no, leg, singular.
One leg.
You feel me? So all right, we're gonna have a tour. Always gonna walk through the tour and introduce you to Randy Rodney and the team and go through the spot. Then we're gonna come through and have a conversation. So we'll be right back. All right, so we're back and we're gonna have a conversation with Randy Rodney and the team. Randy Rodney, my guy, how you doing?
Very good. It's been a while since we've seen you, man. It's like 3 months ago we were here, or 4.
Yep,
I know, man. Time goes by real quick.
it does.
Yeah.
All right, so you're Jamaican, no?
No, I was born in England. Parents are Guyanese and Dominican, and grandparents are, well, it just expands from there.
I feel you. Okay, cool. So there's the one thing, because I'm Jamaican, there's one word that's been floating through the podcast for a consistent time now.
Okay.
You know what that word is?
Bratopsy.
All right.
Bratopsy.
Bratopsy.
All right.
You know? For people who don't know, bratopsy is, you know,
How you were raised.
how you were raised, right? So for the audience that doesn't know you, what's your bratopsy?
Wow. Okay, my father from Guyana went to England to university, and my mother from Dominica went to England for university, and they met there. That's where they had me. Neither one of them were a parent, didn't have the skills, let's say, to be parents, but they had the skills to be partiers. So I was flown out of England to Montreal to go and stay with my grandmother. And my grandmother, she was very strict. And her style of strictness wasn't allowed here in Canada. You're not allowed to beat up your kids. So I was taken away from her, and I was in foster care, basically, for most of my life.
Wow.
So my brought-up-see is quite versatile, let's say. We picked up the history of my time in care, and it's hundreds of pages, and so I haven't had a chance to go through it. It's quite emotional for me to do, and I don't know if I really want to look backwards like that. My wife was very interested in seeing how this animal was created, so she went and got it. But supposedly I was in either 21 different homes or 21 different schools by the time I got into high school. So I was all over the place with many different parenting styles and that throughout my life. So I would have to say that I'm not really sure what my brought-up-see would be like. I love people. I love family, so it could have went the other way. I could have been like, I hate family, and I just keep moving around. But I'm the more stable one in our household. I don't want to move. I don't want things to change, even though my whole life was changed. So obviously, something happened that I sort of would rather be more stable and to myself. And so, um, what's your brought up? See, I guess that would be it.
Wow, that's like an incredible journey, man.
It's an interesting one.
It's funny because you were around a lot of families, going from family to family, and now you're helping families find their own homes. Do you feel like there's like a thread that connects the two for you?
I think, the real estate journey was a long journey for me.
Okay.
It was a really tough one. But I think, I think connecting the dots. My biggest struggle in real estate was the fact that it's selling. And you would take someone, show them 3 homes, and your coach would say, from the 3 homes, you try to fit them into one and sell it, and then get on to the next one. And that never ever sat well with me. As a matter of fact, I almost wanted to quit because I didn't think it was right to be selling somebody their home. This is really personal for them. So I feel that they either are going to make the decision or not make the decision. And my opinion doesn't matter that much. And that was sort of my whole field. So it took me a long time to really mature into the industry. And I do remember one conversation I had with our principal broker, and I had said to him, that I just didn't feel comfortable in real estate. I didn't feel comfortable selling, and he was trying to say, well, why, you don't like money and that? And I says, it's not really about money, it's about values. And I believe that I joined real estate because I wanted to help people to make their biggest investment. And then I got in the game, and then I found out that, no, it's actually about making money. It's not necessarily about, at least this is how we are taught. We're taught the Harvard Business School style, and you got to get listings and turn transactions and do that. And that was very troubling for me, I guess, because, I didn't grow up in a normal household, and because of that, maybe I have abnormal views on things. So my whole, a good portion of the beginning of my career, I spent trying to learn how to love what I'm doing. And that was really challenging. However, I was really, really, really fortunate to have met my wife, and she really just took care of everything at home. So really, I had no extra stress at all in my life but to try to figure out my career. She took care of everything. She also let me live my dream. My dream was to become a foster parent. I grew up as a foster child, and I wanted to give back. And so she took care of that for years, raising foster children, allowed me to live my dream. And then I would be out there trying to learn a skill, which would have been real estate sales.
Wow.
So tying the two together, I don't believe my childhood helped me at all with real estate. I think what helped me with real estate was to have a really stable home where I could concentrate on doing something, whether it was real estate or gardening or whatever it was that I had chosen to be my profession. The fact that Jackie made everything quiet around me for me and allowed me to sort of live my dreams, and it was just up to me to fail.
Wow.
And so because of that, I was able to succeed.
Wow. Shout out to the wife.
Shout out to Jack in the
Shout out to
back.
the wife. You definitely will talk about that in a second when you come on. So getting into real estate and not selling, let's talk about that, because as a real estate agent, one of the biggest things that they have, the mantra in bright bold lights is sell, sell, sell.
Yeah.
How do you grow a business without trying to sell?
Yeah, we are, I did it organically for quite some time. I kind of wish I met Chiriga earlier. And well, even even meeting her, she wouldn't have had the time anyways. I've met her earlier, but it turns out that she's very much into consultative selling. So it's really just finding out what your client's needs are and then matching it. And that just made so much sense. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of that style. So all I did was just go out and help people and just tell them the truth. I just say, you know what, that window's cracked, that floor is this, that thing is this, location is good. And I would just tell them the truth and then let them deal with it. And what happened was, this was actually pretty amazing because, I would lose some customers because some customers, I remember this one real clear, and this was early on when I was making this transition. He wanted me to sell his wife. He wanted me because she didn't like anything and he wanted to move. And I'm like, I can't do it. So he did go to another realtor. And I was perfectly okay with that. We had buyer's agency. I let him out of the agreement, go, because I want people who want to work with me. So then that was basically the start of my career, I can really honestly say, because that was when I made the decision that I didn't need to work with everyone. I just needed to work with people who appreciated where I was coming from and that I was there strictly for them to help them through the process, and I didn't care if they bought or sold with me. If you really appreciate what I'm doing, you will want to buy or sell with me, and if you didn't, you would want to go with someone that matches your style more. And what really happened, my business started to take off. So it was really weird. You're struggling to sell and you're going and you're having these coaches that are telling you all these selling things, and then when I dropped all that, I wasn't like a fish out of water. I was more congruent with who I am inside, and people sort of appreciated that. And then that was the start of growing my business through word of mouth. The people who I worked with, they appreciated me, and they sent me people to work with. And that was how we grew our business, my wife and I, was through referrals and through people saying good things about us. And so we weren't out there hustling for the next deal. We were out there hustling for our client. And it's a little different. I'll tell you, it doesn't work well when you're having business conversations with investors and things like that. It just doesn't work. They're all about transactions and what your growth is. I have no idea what my growth is going to be like. I have no idea. Because I am only going to service clients, and if they don't buy, I'm perfectly okay with that. I actually think I've succeeded just the same as if they did buy, because I was able to help them along their journey, and that to me meant more. And do you know what? People who didn't buy sent us referrals same way, because they really appreciated the help. And so I found that I shouldn't call it the old way of selling, and that I shouldn't really call it that, because it is the way it is today. It is exactly what investors are looking for. They want to know how many transactions you do and how many you're going to do next year and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know how many transactions. How many people can we help? That's important to me. And if helping the person to not buy a home or not selling their home, that's just as important. And so, but that doesn't translate into dollars, so it doesn't work for them. So, so it's kind of interesting that we are not your ideal Harvard Business School entrepreneurs.
Agents. Were there moments where you almost caved in on your own principles of going against the consultative way of selling? Like, I'm going to work with you because you actually want what's best for me, and actually cave in for that transaction? Because real estate is like a transactional game, as they say, right? Your money comes from your commission, etc. So on that climb up to actually growing your business, what was that struggle of actually, you know what? Might not be the best client for me, but I need to make this money. Like, what was that battle like until you finally hit that stride of principle above all else?
That's a really good question. My wife can answer this better than me, but I'm going to take a stab at it. I don't care if you buy or sell. I don't care if we're poor or not. I grew up in foster care. I don't know if I can get any poorer than that. I don't have parents. I don't have a father or mother that loves me. I have foster parents that I jumped from home to home. So I don't get enthusiastic about you buying something and me making commission. I get enthusiastic about sharing the experience. It may even sound corny, but you can ask my wife. It is true, 100%. That is how I feel more for people than I do for money. As a matter of fact, I'm not even that great with money. All money goes to her. I don't get it. Check my wallet. I don't have it. If I'm out and I'm hungry, I don't got money to buy nothing, and I don't care.
Can you order me a pizza?
Yeah. So
Uber Eats me.
so that is part of the being that I am, and yeah, it is kind of odd. And you are right though, because real estate does give a pretty big reward. Like the chunks of money you get. It's not as big as what the public thinks it is. They think after we sell a home, we're rolling in dough, and it's not. It doesn't really work like that. There's a lot of people that you got the broker you need to pay, you got the government that you need to pay, and they're going to take half, and you got your team you need to
And the
pay,
lawyer
and you
too.
got a stager you need to pay, and then the money is not as big as you really do think that it is. However, it is still a decent amount of money, and that part doesn't excite me. As a matter of fact, we have never, ever, ever known what point we are in dollars until we went into this new CRM that kept track of all of that, and our administrator would pop it up and tell Jackie that. We would hear that number in passing, but it would never be something we concentrate on. So yeah, that temptation has never been there for me. As a matter of fact, I probably run from that temptation more so than I'm attracted to it. It's not something that it's not a challenge that I ever had.
Yeah, and in my opinion too, I feel like that indifference towards actually not chasing the dollars, people actually sense that within you. They actually know, okay, this person actually cares about me. They'll go the extra mile to get me what I want, to get me like the house the right way, and find the right people to help it, bring it to the best position it can be for it to actually go to the right person. And people talk, right? They'll, this Randy guy and his wife, they actually did this. And that's just how it happens. But I find like when you actually don't chase things, they actually come to you, because there's a certain energy you give that actually attracts more than repels.
We're focused on helping people, and so because we focus on it, that does end up becoming part of our reality, right? Meeting people and that. So we do in some ways attract that. But we're just not transactionally driven. It's not like we're going to say that oh no, I got to sell this person, right? That's not how we roll. And so it's one thing to have this personality and the experiences I've had and the journey and the education that I've developed interpersonally throughout the years. But it's another thing now. My biggest challenge now is to take that and teach it and make it more than me. And so that's where my next journey really is. If I have to say that there's a dream for me, it is to be able to replace me, so I'm actually not needed. And we've been, and that is a huge journey. It's just massive, and so we're fighting our way through that right now. There are just so many little things that actually that you didn't realize before that are just so important to convert my journey, because along my journey I learned a lot of things, to someone else, to to Oren, to Anthony, to Amanda, to Jackie, having when the tentacles go out, it's actually strong up here and maybe doesn't even exist out there. So it's like, how do you bring that all full circle into your team? So right now, that's one of the big things that we've been working on, is having systems so we have a minimum level, absolute minimum level of quality is the customer experience. What is that? And how can we guarantee that every single time? It doesn't matter who's on what agent's on the side of the transaction. So we're struggling with that right now, and that's an interesting journey.
Yeah. No, I heard an interesting quote from, I think it was Stephen Bartlett, where he says, as an entrepreneur and as the founder, your mission is to set the bar as high as you can and be a guard dog against that bar to make sure that everyone that comes under you follows that bar. And one of the challenging things about that is creating the SOPs and being that guard dog against that poor quality, you know? So I'm guessing some of the things you're doing is creating the documents, the SOPs, and things of that nature, you know? But getting into your journey, you know, when it comes to building the business out, you know, when did you feel like you were reaching that stride where you could get a space like this?
Wow. The moment we got the space. Like, I just being honest.
That's real.
It's a journey that took on its own life form. I'm going to be honest. I don't think I ever imagined this.
Wow.
I think what happened was sort of, if you believe in God, for those of you who do or don't, I certainly do, God guided us here. And then he brought people into our lives to help us to make it happen. But I'm going to be honest, from my beginnings, I don't dream like this. This is not how I dream. It's a beautiful space. And if I didn't have Chiriga, it would not be like this at all. And, you know, she had some in-depth conversations with me to figure out what it is that I like and what I love, and what my story is in terms of what I would envision if I could envision something. And she pulled information out of me to the point where she felt comfortable taking the bull by the horns and making everything happen. And then at that point, because it's happening, you start feeling really good. And you're like, oh, well, I can add this and I can add that. And then now I'm destroying my own vision that I had before. And so she had to say, you need to stop. This isn't, you're not going to be able to fit these together. And then it was really difficult to then be able to let go and trust that someone else is going to guide that ship to exactly where you had a vision of where you would want it to be. And then she has her expectations where, well, he wants it to be here and I'm going to take it here. Because, you know, I know that's really what he wants, but he can't do that. And so I would say that this wasn't necessarily a vision from the beginning. Parts of it was, you know, the part of it where I would love to have a lawyer there that is there for the client, not for that dollar that they would receive. And that's important to me. I want to join her with someone, but they got to have the same values. If they don't have the same values, I don't want to join her. I don't want extra business from them or any of that stuff. I want them to join her with me in giving the client an experience where it's all about them. I want an insurance company to help with that. I want a mortgage company to help with that. I want a tax company to help with that, and you know, either financial advisors or credit counselor, credit coaches to have that same vision. So you know, so when we're bringing all of this stuff together, Chiriga's like, my poor wife's coughing background.
Shout out to the wife coughing in the background.
Shout out to Jackie.
Yeah, shout out to Jackie. Should
When
be all
we're
right.
bringing all of this together, that's where having other people to help, like those were the nuggets of our dream. And then having a minimalist, paperless office was another nuggets of the dream. And then having something that represents the 21st century, 22nd century, getting up into there was another part of the dream, even though I didn't know how to do it. And so God sort of helped us by bringing people who did know how to do it. And then it far exceeded anything that I could imagine.
No, it's huge. It's huge. On to entrepreneurship journey, as work towards wrapping up and speaking to Chiriga and Jackie, what has been your biggest sacrifice that you've given up along this journey?
The biggest sacrifice had nothing to do with this office. But if I had to say the sacrifice within this office, well, let's just say, for you to give up, like, if you're going to be the person who is the one that makes the vision for the office, let's say you spark the vision, because you may spark that log, but you really don't know how that fire is going to work, how quickly it'll start and all that. So you don't really know any of that. So the thing is if you don't know how to light that spark, then you need someone to light that spark for you. And then you want to have a fire, but you don't know really what it's going to look like. So the biggest part of it was when people are telling me that you shouldn't let, let's say Chiriga or your designer, tell you everything you can do. You can do that if you want to. You can do that if you want to. You can do that if you want to. And you're getting that from, the people around you here, other partners that are joining in here, because we have a marketing team and all that. And really, it's just a lot of noise. It's really kind of frustrating because when you know that you've got to go north, and you have to go there because that's your destination. That's where, let's say, your wife is, who you love very much. But along your path, you got someone who says, no, let's go east, and there's a restaurant over there, and let's go west, and there's a pool over there, and they're going like this. Like, no, I want to go north. And so we had a number of people who were just sort of kind of getting in the way mentally from the process being able to be played out. And then all that does is really kind of confuse you, because you may start to not be just heading north. You're twisting east or whatever, but then you bring yourself back in line. And if I didn't, we wouldn't have it like this. If I didn't let her do her job and I listened to everybody else, we'd had minestrone soup here. Right? It still probably would have been nice, but it wouldn't have been spectacular. And now it's spectacular. And now we can all kind of see that vision. But there's always people along the way trying to change that. And then the next probably most challenging thing that we're still going through is with contractors. And honestly, it is really sad to say that the contracting world is out of control. They're just totally inconsiderate. They'll take your money, tell you, oh, we'll be done in 6 weeks. 6 months later, they're still not done, and send a person in one day, make a huge mess, dust everywhere, everything in that, and then they're gone again for a week. So, after 3 days and they're not there, you can't get them, whatever, you clean up because you don't want to live in that. And then what do? Come back and make another big, huge mess. But the mess isn't the problem. The problem is that for a fact that they've taken your job, and then they've now taken 10 other jobs, and now they're just piecing you in. You know what? Don't take the job. And so that was probably a very, very, very frustrating part of it. So the two combined, sometimes lowers your spirit, those two issues combined, but how I was able to get through it was, first of all, trusting in Chiriga. trusting in her direction and knowing that I can't do it, so I gotta trust. Even though I have ideas, the ideas are off track, just slightly, so they won't work. So in trusting in that, and the other thing was with the contractors, we just let go, let God. It'll happen when it happens. And so that was how we kept our sanity, because otherwise you're just going to try to rip them a new one. And that's never good for relationships. So we just sort of said, okay, well, this is the pace you guys are moving at. That's what we got. That, unfortunately, that's what we hired. Yeah. So.
Anything you want to add?
No, not at all.
I have one last question, man. You know, we're two young black entrepreneurs, you know, building a business out. If you were to, Isaac, apologies, you know, 4 as well, you know, you're doing your thing as well.
Mari in the back.
What game do you have for us to be like, all right, don't make this mistake I did?
Oh, don't make a mistake. Oh, shoot, I make mistakes every day. Like, every day. Some of the stuff I say to my wife is crazy. You know, I think, you know, if you do, in terms of entrepreneurship, that's one thing. I don't think I'm a great source for entrepreneurship. I'm a realtor who's trying to become an entrepreneur. So, you know, so I have my challenges that I need to learn and grow. But I think the most important thing in life is to be happy. And so, and I don't think, you know, some people say, oh, no, you know, happy wife, happy life, and all this kind of stuff. I don't believe in any of that stuff. And because I don't believe you can make your wife happy. I believe she has to make herself happy. So she makes herself happy, you make yourself happy, and then when you come together, if you're happy together, life is great. But, you know, if you're fighting to make somebody else happy or you're not happy yourself, life is not so great. And then trying to be an entrepreneur, trying to be a hockey player, trying to be whatever it is you're trying to be is going to be a lot more challenging. So to me, the main thing is to just really try to love you and love your life. And that's what I would say. And that'll give you a great boost into whatever journey you're taking.
It's a beautiful point to end on, man.
Yeah. First time I've ever heard, let your wife make herself happy.
Yeah.
That's unique.
Always thought the same thing. And I'm so happy you just said that. Send this to my girl right now.
Well, you know, I gotta say, I'm not saying that, you know, you gotta stop doing what you're doing to make her happy. I'm not saying any of that. All I'm saying is that her happiness is hers, not yours. Good luck changing that. Good luck trying to make her happy. I will guarantee you the more you try to make her happy, the more you're going to have to do to make her happy the next time. And so I would say stay away from that game. Make yourself happy and help her with an environment that will allow her to be happy, but she's in control of that. And the most important thing is that when we get together, we're happy together. That's the most important thing. You know, because if for any reason she's just not happy with anything and you guys get together and you're not happy, how the heck, what are you going to do about that? Realistically, and so I would in some ways put it back on her. You be happy on your own. And so my wife, she's happy on her own. She doesn't get any support from me to be happy. I'm the worst husband in the world in one way because I really don't do a lot for her. She does everything for me. This isn't good. This is a flaw from the way I was raised, or brought up, from being a kid, I guess, growing up in foster care. I really do believe in letting her have her space, and I have my space. And she grew up in a loving family, so her thing is to come into my space and try to make me happy. So I've got a wife who does everything to make me happy, and I do nothing to make her happy. But we're still happy together 24 years. So it could work.
Hot take.
Oh, that's a bad one. We got to cut that out. No, I'm just kidding. I don't care personally. But it is true. It is true. Lack of support.
Definitely.
And
So we're gonna
and
talk to
here
you
she
next.
is 24 years later, with me. So obviously it can't be that bad, right? There's got to be something happening there. My whole thing is like every penny I get goes to you. You can have it all. And if you don't really like that, then you're only going to get half.
Jeez, all right.
That's a hot take.
YouTube, podcast. I want to get y'all opinions. What's your opinion on that? I'm very curious to see what you have to say. Comment below or send us a DM and we'll talk about it on the next episode. All right, so with that said, Sparkle's wrapping up. The hustle is what you can't control. So control your grind and control your life. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen Osinde.
We're about to have the next person on. Wow. All right, so now we're talking to the wife,
Miss Rodney, Jackie.
Hi.
Jackie
Hi.
Rodney.
How are you guys today? Good?
Fantastic, fantastic.
great.
So we just came off of a hot take,
A hot take.
of what Randy Rodney just said. What's your opinion on what he just said?
You mean about the happy wife and that sort of thing?
Exactly. Let's dive right in.
Well, I think he's got a good point there. I did stay at home with the kids and his grandmother, who I took care of as well, and I just supported him like totally. Cleared his head. I would fill up his car at night with gas, make sure everything was done, take it for the oil change. All he had to do was step out in the morning and go to work. So he could totally focus on what he wanted to do. But he's had this dream for a long, long time, and we've never took the plunge to do it. And I think we bought this place 2.5 years ago, something like that. And it was a dream, and it scared me to death. I'm like, okay, we're in our 50s. What are we doing? We're building all over. And now that Chiriga, who's absolutely phenomenal, got involved and took the vision, and not only the vision for the designing, but also sat down, did meetings with us and our team, and figured out what we wanted as a team and where we wanted to go. And she branded us as well. So she puts us in focus on what to do to get where we are. It's a struggle sometimes. I mean, our kids are grown. They're in their 20s, but they're still at home. And it's a struggle sometimes for me between work and home, because he works all the time and I deal with everything else and I work. So I probably don't work as much as he would like me to and as much as I would want to. But I think definitely when you're in real estate, your spouse really needs to know that you're second.
Yeah.
The job's first, and the job's always been first. And that's where his love for people and love for helping people came in. I mean, I remember there was times at our oldest daughter's second birthday party, and it's half an hour, and it's like, where's Randy? He's gone to see a client. And I'd call him, and he'd be like, well, I'll get there when I get there. So-and-so called. I have to go. And I'm like, but it's your daughter's birthday. He did make it there on time, but that's the reality. And especially, so I think for us being a team, work, and I mean, we're together almost 24/7, your partner really has to support that and know that if you're in real estate and you're in it to help people, that is your number one priority, is to make sure that your client is served and they're happy at the end of the day.
And I think it opens up to other niches as well when it comes to entrepreneurship.
Absolutely.
The baby comes first a lot of the time. I'd love to talk about how you first agreed to that. Like walk us through when that pitch was made to you and when you got on board. I think that's all the times as entrepreneurs.
Exactly.
And we're like, all right, how am I going to put this to her
Especially
to have her come on board?
Even now, right? Trying to get like a girl to agree to that type of dynamic. Naturally, people have egos, right? So I'm curious as what Alex said. How do you put your ego aside and like your desires to be like, you know what, this is what we're gonna do?
I don't think I've put aside my desires. Yeah, I've put him first, but he does know that the only things that come before him are our daughters. So he does know that. I will run if they call. But it wasn't a question, it wasn't a statement he made to me, it just flowed that way. It flowed where I wanted him to be successful. I wanted him to enjoy what he was doing. And when he came home after work all day, I didn't want him to have to worry about taking out the garbage or, putting up this photo. I just got someone else to do that. And it just evolved into that sort of thing, that I don't think it was ever a discussion where he says, well, I'm not putting the family first, I'm going to work. It was just the way it was. And there were sometimes maybe 3-4 days where the kids didn't see him because he would be up and gone at 6 in the morning to the office preparing, and he would come home at like 9-10 at night and they'd be gone to bed. So there was sometimes, I remember he would be leaving sometimes a little late in the morning for work, and our daughter would be like, no, Daddy, and then she'd want to go, and they'd get down to the end of the street, and he'd have to bring her back because, she wanted to come back home. But it was challenging. I would say that the most thing that was sacrificed was probably the time that he had with the kids, but he did, the little time he had, he tried to make the best of it. So it wasn't really where we sat down and discussed it, and I honestly think that and a lot of women may not like me when I say this, but if your husband is going out there and working hard to provide a good future for you and your family, what are you complaining about, right? Like, he's not out there partying, he's trying to make a better future so that when you're a little older, you don't have to worry about your finances. So to me, it's like, I have friends that are like that. Oh, you're working too much, you got to come home. No, I think our relationship works so well because we give each other the freedom to do what we want, and we 100% trust each other, and it just flows together. I don't know what to say. It just, we work, I guess. Yeah.
Let's take a quick step back. How did you guys meet?
Okay, so we're both from a clothing retail background.
Oh.
So I had seen him through my works. He ran a few stores in the Scarborough Town Center, and when I was really young, I worked there for Le Chateau. And we met when he would be coming in trying to recruit the bosses in there. And then we were out one night at this pub, and I saw him. And I'm like, whoa, okay. And he came up, and he talked to me, and we just kind of hit it off. And I remember, though, and it's so funny because sometimes he won't admit it, but we were out one night, and when he dropped me off, he's like, oh, here, I'll give you my phone number. And I said, you can give it to me, but I won't call you. So he was like really taken back by that, and the chase was on, okay? The chase was on. And then he got me, and then he's like, okay, I got her now, let me go off and do whatever. So it was just one of these things of like, I think it was a natural connection. It took him a little longer than me to fall in love, but I think I loved him probably 6 months in. I thought, wow, he was a little bit crazy and out there, and, didn't really believe in relationships, but it was very honest and had other girls that he dated as well. But he was always honest with me, and I knew that the little time I would spend with him between his other girls, he had a good heart, and I could see that. But he needed somebody to nurture that side of him because he never got that nurturing. He never got all of these connections for the emotional attachment. So he doesn't get emotionally attached to anything except his clients. Mm-hmm. He's very emotional when it comes to his clients and being in sync with them. But other than that, he's probably 99.9% total logic with every decision he makes. And
I'm curious, Jackie, what does like a Randy Rodney pursuit look like? Is that like
a pursuit?
three calls a day? Like three
Wow.
calls a day? Is he writing, because of the time, right? There's no text, there's no nothing. So is he writing letters? Is he, what was that looking like?
Phone calls. Oh, you want to go out, you this. And it, like I said, it was, the violin.
Violin?
Oh, you played the violin?
It was tough.
He was serenading you?
Pool.
It was, we played pool the first time, and I won, and he went and hid around the corner. He was so mad at me. He was pretended that he left me in the pool hall. And that was our second date, actually. So I don't know. It was more, I'll be totally honest with you, and one person that I still think of, and I used to be the manager at Le Chateau in the Dufferin Mall, were talking in the ghetto, okay? And no, it was then. I don't know what it's like now, but it was. It was a rough place to work in that mall. And I had one gentleman that worked for me, and his name was Abbas, and he was Muslim, and he was a strict Muslim. And we really got along very well. He would come to my apartment, we'd have dinner, we'd talk. He had a wife, she hadn't moved here yet. And I was struggling with this man because I really felt like I was in love with him, but it wasn't reciprocated. I'm like, what do I do? Like,
Give me something here.
I'm crying all the time, and like, I got to get out of this. I can't subject myself to this anymore. And it was this statement that he made to me, and it stuck with me. And that's like, what, 30-something years ago? And he said, if you really love this person, then you need to sit back, because you don't know what is going on with this person and why they are behaving the way they are. So if you love them, you need to give them the time and the opportunity to show who they are. And if it wasn't for that statement of him saying, if you love him, you need to hang in there, right, and see where it's going, I probably would have flew the coop, because it drove me nuts the first year that we were on and off dating. Absolutely nuts. But he just said, you don't know why he's behaving like that. You don't know why he says, oh, doesn't show up, or you don't know, right? And at that time, he was helping his sister a lot, and she was very demanding and needed a lot of his time, and would just come grab him and gone. And he didn't even, and like you said, there was no, real text or anything like that, right? So it was frustrating, but I would have to say that was one statement that has never left me. And I have one other statement, and I wanted to bring it in because when you were talking to Randy, you asked him, what advice does he have that I don't make all the mistakes trying to be a young entrepreneur? You have to make those mistakes. Because if you don't make those mistakes, how do you learn? And making mistakes, and this was one thing that we used to tell one of our foster children, it doesn't matter how many mistakes you make, it's what you learn from that mistake. So if you didn't learn anything from the mistake, it's all out the window.
Yeah.
But if you can sit back and think, well, I made this mistake, but what was the mistake? What can I do? What have I learned from this? You can only move up in the world in your own head and in a business. Because mistakes are made, like huge mistakes. So I would say keep making your mistakes, because we make them all the time, and here we are, right? So.
But most importantly, learn.
Exactly. It's the learning process, right? What did you get from it? Make all the mistakes. Listen, kids make mistakes all the time. As parents, we give them heck for it. But as adults, how many mistakes do we make a day? So why be hard on the next person for making a mistake? Try to understand them and help them grow, get through it. The same thing like we were talking about earlier before we started the podcast with, the main purpose for us is not to walk into your house and make a sale. It's to walk in your house, and when we leave that appointment, did we get what you really needed? Did we get that, okay, your home is not really what's bothering you. It's the chaos inside your home. It's all the stuff that you've bought, and now your house is full and you feel cluttered. Maybe you don't need to sell. Maybe you need to regroup your life, and that's where Chiriga comes in. And there's many times when we went out there and people wanted to sell, and we left with, they're not selling. And we're totally okay with that, because we found out that you didn't need to sell. And really, in real estate, it's a huge investment that people make, especially now. Like you're putting out at minimum almost $1 million for a decent sized home. That's a huge chunk of money. And if we're not on their side and watching out for their best interests, and that this is the right move for them, and try to guide them a little, then the mistakes that can be made and the unhappy people 1-2 years into their new purchase, it's not a great feeling if you have somebody come back and they're not happy with where they are. It's really not. And for us, it plagues me in my sleep, like really. And one example is we had this couple that we sold their home in Oshawa. Really nice, humble couple, didn't have a lot. By the time they sold their home, they went to Beaverton because they could afford a home there. By the time they were finished, moved in, they were pretty much, that was the end of the money, right? They got all the furniture moved, and now they can survive day to day. Well, there was no washer and dryer when they moved in. It was in the contract that there's no washer and dryer, and my husband is very big on making sure you go through that contract detail, and after every point, whether it's inclusions, exclusions, that you understand, right? There's no washer and dryer, there's no, in the heat of the buying, people get very excited, and a lot of times they don't hear everything that you're telling them, even if you say you get that, right? So we felt really bad, and we're like, they didn't have the money. You can't live in a house with no washer and dryer, so we bought them a washer and dryer. At that time, that was probably minimum half of our commission that time, at many years ago, and they were like, they've come back, they've bought with us again, they've told their family, because they're like, who does that? Who goes out and we still have clients to this day. If I got a dishwasher, extra dishwasher, because we do a little buying and selling of different houses. Here, I got a dishwasher. I'm not using it right now. Here, put this in your place. And we've done it many times. And I think it's so important at the end of the day that your client is pleased and happy with where they are. And that's our responsibility, I think, as a realtor.
Big gems.
Big gems.
Very big gems.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining on the show. Is there
Thank
any
you.
question that we didn't ask that you'd like to be asked?
I would say the whole goal of what we're doing here is, as Randy touched on it a little bit, is the synchronization of services and every person being in sync with us, where the first thing is your client, and your client's wants, needs, and dreams are ahead of any money that you're going to make or monetary substance you're going to get, but more that for us, we're not a huge team right now. We're looking to grow our team, but there's going to be a lot of agents that are probably not going to fit the criteria that we want, because we need an agent that's not so much a hustler with sales, but a hustler with kindness and caring and thoughts and how they go about treating clients. And, you know, sometimes you lose one to, you know, and you move on and you don't, and you feel good at least about yourself at the end of the day and what you've given to people in the community. And another reason why we put in this little kitchenette and the coffee machine and we got a fridge, because this building that we are in has 275, maybe more residential units in it. And it's a lot of elderly people in this building that's been here for a long time. And we want them to come in, our doors, come in, sit down, have a coffee, let's talk, let's, you know, just, how are you? And we want it to be a really inviting environment. And I think Chiriga's going to talk a little more on it, because around her design for this was so that an agent can come in and not feel in a stressful office building type environment. You can come in and you can sit down and you look around, you feel relaxed, you feel at ease, you're not stressed to do what you need to do. And then your job becomes something that you enjoy, rather than just, oh, I got to put in the 8 hours at the office and you're just waiting to leave. So that's our goal, that everybody that comes through the door leaves happy and stress-free.
Amazing. Building community.
Yes, very much. We're deep in debt into the community and want to give back in any way that we can, for sure.
Yeah, one of the big words that I always like to focus on is ecosystem. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And that's what it looks like you're building here.
You're building ecosystems.
Yeah.
Yeah, most
Yes,
definitely.
yes. It definitely will be our own little ecosystem with the little migrants moving around, hopefully all in sync, and, you know, everything is about the person in front of you and making them happy.
Most definitely. With that being said, another part of the ecosystem is Chiriga.
Yeah.
So
Let's
let's
come
get
on.
Chiriga on and talk to her and learn her story.
Okay.
So Chiriga, you know, we asked Randy Rodney about Broadtopsy. You know, when it comes to your career, what is your career in this when it comes to your Broadtopsy?
So I was born and raised in Canada, North York General, but my parents are Jamaican on both sides. And so it's always been about, you know, kind of learning, constant learning and achieving. I kind of grew up with my parents in the sense they were married and all that, but they were young. And as a result, my Broadtopsy tended to be a lot of extension of them being new to the country, but here I am as, you know, first generation Canadian, and just kind of always learning, always growing. So my career has actually had some transitions along the way. So right now I'm a furniture store owner, interior designer, stager, wearing many hats. But my background is really in marketing. I spent many years as a marketing professional, and my approach to even what I'm doing now has those marketing theories and so forth. And so my relationship with Jackie and Randy, beyond a friendship, I mean, Randy was in actually my wedding party. That's how long we've known each other. But our relationship has been more about not just the design, but making sure that their vision for their business actually comes to fruition. So now that I've transitioned out of the corporate world and working on my own business, Randy knows that journey and was just like, I can't let you leave the marketing behind. I need you to help me. I want your brain. So that has been, that's why they speak of me like I'm their designer, but it's weird how much I invade their lives a little bit. Yeah. And it's because of the fact that I'm really focused on making sure that their vision comes to fruition. Okay. And actually began with pulling that out. Mm-hmm. So again, sorry, to go back to the brought up C, I was in marketing. I've done a lot of digital marketing, brand identity, all of that kind of thing. And now I'm taking that into the home space, and I'm helping a lot of commercial people with not just maybe the look and feel of their space, but how does that relate to the brand? I mean, beyond this, I recently did a piece, a hair salon. And it was just like, okay, what do you want to portray? What's your brand? And let's make sure that comes out as soon as you walk in the door. And who you work with, so transitioning back to here, who he works with and who they bring in needs to fit with their principles and their values and their mission and all of that. So it's getting that from them. And then, okay, I know what we want to actually accomplish, what it looks like, what it feels like. How do you want to move forward in the world? It's a little bit more than just design. So we're partners in the sense of, yes, I'm helping them with the physical space, but we're partners in making sure that their brand moves forward. And that's important to me, and how I've also grown up is always learning and transitioning. I've been in marketing, I've been in engineering, I've been in IT, I've been in design, different parts of it. And this is where I'm at now. But I take all those experiences with me, and I continue to kind of just grow, and that's another thing I think that makes our partnership work so well. Yeah, is because of the fact that I'm a person who's constantly learning and growing, and I think Randy and Jackie are definitely those types of people as well. So we are constantly supporting each other in that growth and that evolution.
Yeah. We're in this room. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
We've had extensive chats about the couch, the rug, the mugs, everything. Walk us through defining the Jackie and Randy's brand, right?
Right.
All these different color schemes here, like they all have like a cohesive blend together.
Yes.
How did you go on about asking them, what is your brand, right? Because you can look at Randy, you can look at Jackie, and you come out with this. So what factors went into actually deciding this is your brand right here?
So it actually meant getting those two, but the rest of the current team as well. So the other agents and administrative people on the team actually had a 2-day intensive at my store. I actually closed the blinds and kind of did like a workshop at my store and figured out what is it that you guys want to portray, and that feeling in that. And we got down to, I said, okay, you've got, they're part of Century 21. So they've got the gold and all that kind of stuff. You've got all of that. You've got that brand identity stuff. But what are you trying to accomplish? What are your goals? What are we trying to make people feel like? What's the type of ideal person you want to attract even? And so we went through that. And with having that understanding of even what your target market is, where is your business? So I'm the person in the back on the shoulder that's like, okay, I'm a numbers person. So I do look at that target market and how much percentage of it is going to be this and that kind of stuff. And taking all of that marketing now and actually creating it and making it a physical manifestation of what their hopes, dreams, and goals and visions are, not just for Jackie and Randy, but the entire team. And also, what's the 5-year plan? Okay, this is how we're going to get there. I know that's a little bit in depth for an interior designer, but like I said, I'm a little bit more than that for them, and they're my friends, and I want to see them succeed. So, so it turned into the color scheme. It is an extension of their actual brand identity colors. But then it's also making sure that it fits the target market that they're after. So making sure that the customer who comes in here, the people that they work with the most, feel comfortable. They actually feel what they were trying to portray. So even the palette is intentional. The pieces that we put in here, like I said, I own a store, so a lot of it is an extension of the store, and this is actually almost like the commercial version of the store that we're sitting in right now. But even the pieces, they're commercial grade, their quality. These are things that match with their values, right? It's all, they don't want to just sell a home that for the sake of selling it. Well, I don't want you to just buy a furniture for furniture's sake. I think that you should invest in certain pieces, and you should have quality in certain pieces. Then you can throw in trends and all that kind of stuff, as they come and go. But your staple pieces, for example, the couch you're on, is as neutral as possible, because then you can always add a pop of color with a pillow. So this is kind of my design approach. That's based in a branding approach. That is then kind of you're seeing the physical manifestation of that.
So to try and distill that.
Sorry.
No, I think that was great. And I'm going to attempt to distill it for our audience and correct me where I might be off. It reminds me of Sherlock Holmes, because as digital marketers, we kind of operate in a Sherlock Holmes stance. You know how Sherlock Holmes operates. He solves the crime and then works backwards from how he moves. And as entrepreneurs, I think there's a lesson in that where you kind of define the goals first and work backwards from exactly where you want to go, and then have the colors and the atmosphere that you're creating match the goal. So is that the kind of sense that?
Yeah, it's very much like that. And I'm a huge movie buff and geek that way too. So as soon as you said, I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm going to use that. It's definitely what are our goals? What are we trying to accomplish? And then work backwards. And then it's just having that laser focus. And sometimes, I hate being the bad guy, but sometimes I am the bad guy because I'm just like, Randy in the beginning was a little bit difficult to work with in terms of he'll go find something. And I'm like, but that's not part of what we're trying to accomplish here, right? And I'm just like, that doesn't work. And so it's having that laser focus and staying on and saying, okay, we're going to actually, we're going to say no to that. We're going to find something that you love equally as much, and just make sure that we're on track, not just for something that you bought, but also, when you have a space like this, a lot of people come with opportunities, right? And at the end of the day, there are people, Randy and Jackie, that are always trying to help and be a part of that. And they're huge parts of the community that we haven't even touched upon. So you get a lot of people coming to you with opportunities. And it's not that I ever want to say no to them, but at the same time, he's entrusted in me to make sure that he reaches that top of that mountain that they're after. So it's just, sometimes I am a little bit of the bad guy or the bad girl and saying...
The guard dog.
Yeah, and saying, you know what, this, I know you would love to help them, and maybe we can actually help those people in another way. But you have to actually stay focused. This place has been a couple years in the making. It would have been faster if we even had even more focus than we did. There was also other things, contractors, all that kind of stuff Randy touched upon. But this has been a long time in the making, even before they got this place. Because he had a place before that he had a million things going on too. At the time I was in corporate. So I couldn't really give him the time that he needed to kind of focus him in. But once we kind of did those workshops and really got down to business, then the rest of it just flew.
You know, we have a budding Black woman audience specifically. You know, we had a post go viral and the audience actually flipped. We were predominantly Black men and flipped immediately to Black women because of the post we had that went viral. You know, and one of the big, you know, pathways a lot of Black women see is interior design. You know, so for that Black girl that wants to get into it, or at least in that industry, what advice do you have for them?
So that's, before I answer that question, that's one of the reasons why I got into this, because, and opened up my own store. And it's because a lot of minorities are not actually represented in the industry. So in terms of interior design, even if you open up the magazines, there's not as many minorities as you see others. And I wanted it to be attainable for everyone. So for my fellow minorities, people getting into that area of the business, I would say my advice is to be uniquely you and to tell the stories of the people that you're working with and also tell your own story. Don't try to mimic somebody else, be uniquely you. I mean, I am a Canadian, born and raised, by my name, Chiriga, was even difficult in corporate world and even in the business I am now. Now it's like, now that there's the internet, it's like, oh, it's unique. You know, I can just go by Chiriga like I'm Prince. But, but growing up, people they asked me for, you know, a nickname. They asked me for, even in corporate for the longest while, probably up until a couple of years ago, oh, what can I call you for short? No, my name is Chiriga. And it's not going to be shortened because you don't want to have to learn it. So I'm uniquely me, and the people that want to work with me will actually come and work with me. You don't have to change who you are in order to showcase your talent. So that would be my advice. There is space for all of us, and you don't have to be somebody else in order to capture that.
That's big. And with that being said, this is what you can't control. So control your life and control your grind. I'm Alex.
And I'm Owen Osinde.
And I'm Chiriga Derrick.
Yes.
Wow. See you next week, y'all.
Peace.